Playing competition golf is not easy, and that's why we've come out here today to produce a video on the 10 best tips to handle your first golf competition. This is all the things that you need to do, from the strategy that you have on the golf course, good course management, to developing some of the stock shots that you need to be able to compete and get yourself in the best possible mindset to return a good score. Right, let's head out onto the golf course here at Fox Hills and look at the 10 best tips to handle your first golf competition. Okay, so we're on the first tee here at the Long Cross Golf Course at Fox Hills. And Alex, you said to me that one of the best things that you can do if you're going to play in a competition is to have a stock shot.
Definitely. Now, I think a lot of people, when you say stock shot, they associate like low handicappers, professionals, but that could literally be for anybody. Now, most commonly for players who are a high handicap, that might be a lot of movement left to right or right to left, depending on if you're a right or left-hander. But just sticking with that, knowing what happens is very powerful.
Okay, so if you were to advise somebody and just say this is a good stock shot to have, what would you suggest they use?
Now, it can vary day to day. If you've got the opportunity to practice the day before or on the day before on a driving range, I would just see what comes out, whether it be a fade, whether it be a draw, and I would stick with that on the golf course.
Okay, fine. All right, well, I'm going to go for my stock shot here, which is, my stock shot in this scenario would be a little fade, I think, Alex.
Okay, so interesting, actually, you said before, sometimes it feels a draw, but if you have to hit a fairway, it becomes a fade.
Yes.
So that is your stock shot. So if you're one of those players that likes to hit a draw, but you have to hit a fairway swing, and it comes out a fade, that becomes a stock shot.
A safe shot is something we can all do with, right? Let's see if this one can work for me.
Beauty. That is really nice.
Now, the next one on our list is a very simple one, but it's really important. Alex, what is it?
Cleaning your clubs after every single shot.
Yes, do you know what? It's very, very wet underfoot at the moment in the UK. We've had so much rain, and it's kind of obvious to clean your clubs after every shot, but why is it so important?
I think the main thing is when it doesn't look like it's got much on it, it could be a little kind of bit of broken mud inside the grooves, you're more likely to get a flyer.
Right, so that means when you're hitting from the rough, likely to end up hitting it too far, carrying it over the green.
But having dirty grooves, having grass in the grooves, you could have that same effect from the fairway. So a shot that could go 90 yards and end up going 100 yards, getting you in trouble.
Because it's not spinning.
Exactly. So when you get grass between the ball and the grooves, or some sort of debris between the ball and the grooves, this causes the ball to spin less. Yeah. The ball could potentially go further.
So obviously, carry a golf towel, give every club in the bag a quick wipe once you've hit it, and you'll be fine.
Exactly.
Okay, so the next one on the list relates to your scorecard and a little bit of prep you can do before you go out and tee it up for the first time in a competition. What is that prep, Alex?
Firstly, we've got to have our name, date, competition, and your handicap. So what I get people to do, especially if they're brand new to the game and find the scoring system potentially a little bit difficult on a Stableford, I get them to mark on everywhere they got a single shot, or off the handicap, say for example 20, where they get 2 shots.
Fine. So you're just making that little note on the stroke indexes to say, yeah, you get 2 shots here and 2 shots here. And that's important because that can actually have a bearing on the way in which you play those holes, right, Alex?
Exactly. So say for example the stroke index 1, we know we don't potentially have to get it on in 3, we can actually get it on in 1 more than that.
Yeah, and if you can just get away with making even a double bogey, you might find yourself picking up shots on the field, and just that little bit of prep before you can go out to play can make a big difference. Right, so as you can see, we've made our way up to the green, and if you're about to play in your first golf competition, you're gonna face long putts like this. And actually, as anyone who's played golf for a while will know, 3 putts really do kill a score. They kill your momentum and your mood. So, Alex, what's your advice when putting from long range?
Now, when we've got a putt of this length, we see on TV, we see all the highlights, them draining putts from this distance, 25, 30 feet, when really we're not expected to. So if we watch that, we run the risk of trying to be too aggressive at this point. I mean, of course we could hold a putt, but we run the risk of hitting it 3 or 4 foot past, got a knee knocker coming back.
Yes, so what should we be aiming for then?
I like to use the kind of bin lid method. So if we can get the ball around the bin lid, we keep it stress-free, we've got a better chance of maintaining that score, keeping that momentum, like you said.
Yeah, so just take a little bit of pressure off your own shoulders. Just try and get the ball, as Alex said, within that kind of bin lid around the hole. You'll be taking 3 putts out of the equation, won't you?
Exactly, exactly.
Go on then, show us how it's done.
No pressure.
And that is how it's done. Okay, so for the next one on the list, you can probably guess what we're about to tell you. That is the importance of warming up. Alex, people know that it's important to warm up before they go and play, but what should they be doing?
I would firstly research a few stretches that you can do online, just to basically get mobility through back, through spine, and just get us generally warmed up, ready for exercise.
Okay.
Then I would make sure if you hit a few golf balls, don't treat it like a practice session.
Don't treat it like a practice session. All right, we've all done it.
Yeah.
You know, it's you hit one bad one, you pull one, and then suddenly you're like, well, maybe I did this, maybe I did that.
Start tinkering.
So what do you do in that scenario? You hit a bad shot, how do you put that to your back in mind?
I mean, you're always going to want to tinker a little bit. What I'd do is I would go back to either my last lesson, my rules of thumb, what I've been working on in general, and trust that that's going to come through.
Okay, fine. And so then, let's say you've done your stretches, you've hit how many balls?
25 max.
You've hit 25 balls. What's the sort of routine? What's the kind of timeline between arriving at the golf course and stepping onto the first tee?
So a lot of people finish on their putting as the last thing they do before they go on the first tee. Now, generally that probably is because the putting green's near the first tee.
Yes.
But if we can, my absolute ideal scenario is stretching, putting,
Okay.
few wedges, mid-irons, and lastly finish on about 5 drives, straight to the first tee. We're ready to go.
Off you go. Okay, so what happens if that last drive you hit? What happens if you carve it off to the right-hand side? It's not a great image to have as you step onto the first tee, is it?
No, it's not. But you could argue if your first tee shot of the day was a bad one, then that could set the tone for the day. So what I would say is literally look at the warm-up as a way of just getting your body loose, body ready, and don't judge the last shot as what's going to happen on the first tee because you're in a completely different environment.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is you can't really expect to play well if you haven't done some form of warming up before you step onto the first tee. If you haven't got the ability to hit balls before you go and play, because that's not always the case, then at least do the sort of physical stretches that you can.
Exactly.
Do a little bit of putting, get to the first tee in some degree of readiness so that you can go and shoot a good score. Okay, so Alex, the next one on the list is a really simple one. It's got nothing to do with technique or even strategy, but it actually can make a difference to you on the course, and that's related to where you put your bag.
Definitely.
When you're putting on the green.
Definitely, and just in terms of speed of play. I mean, I've got a prime example here. I just hit the front edge. Now, the flag is at the back of the green. The next tee is actually over the back of the green.
Over there, yeah.
Now, this would be an absolute killer for me to leave my bag here, put out, have to then walk back, collect my bag, off to the next tee.
Yeah.
Your playing partners you're playing with are not going to like you,
No.
and especially the guys behind.
Actually, it's one of those things that can create a sense of pressure on your own shoulders because you can feel like you're actually holding people up. People are looking at you as if to say, come on, get a move on. And actually, you're just trying to do your best, aren't you?
Exactly, and especially if you're then first on the next tee, you're then running over, it could actually affect your next shot.
Yeah, so actually, Alex, come over here because in actual fact, your best bet, both of us in this scenario, is to park both the bags over here and then walk back to your golf ball and then go on from there, isn't it?
Exactly, so we're straight off to the next tee.
Okay, so the next one is, Alex, a really important one, isn't it? It's course management. If you want your first competition to be a good one, if you want to shoot a good score, you need to think about this stuff really closely. What's your advice, generally speaking, on course management, Alex?
Most golf courses either have a course guide or people have a digital device, or even in fact on each hole they have a visual what you can see. My kind of rule of thumb is, one, look at the visual. Where's the trouble? Is the bunkers? Is the water? Is the trees like there is here at
Yes.
Fox Hill?
Yeah.
I would then think about, have I got a shot on this hole? Because having a shot on this hole might mean we can take a little bit less risk from the tee.
Yes.
And plan our way down the hole a little bit better.
Okay, so are you identifying where the big trouble is? So you're just basically plotting your way through saying, that's a kind of card-wrecking area over there, I can't hit it.
Exactly. And I think if we are a higher handicapper, if we avoid a card wrecker and we say if we're off 20 and we accumulate just a run of bogeys, we're gonna be under our handicap.
Yeah.
It's when we have those sevens and we turn those sevens into nines.
Yes.
That's when it can be really bad for our game.
Okay, so specific scenario we've got here. This is 170 yards, slightly downhill, wind off the left. You can see that the flag is sort of tucked a little bit behind that bunker on the right-hand side. What is your advice to, I guess, different golfers of different abilities from a place like this?
So if we are a better player, so single figures potentially, and we have a bit more confidence in our game, I would like you to kind of base the flag on a colour code system. So green being one you can attack, that might be one in the middle of the green here. Amber being one if we feel like it's a good win, it's a good shot shape, it's accessible for our game. That's when it comes into one that maybe go for.
Yes.
And a red would be potentially this scenario behind the bunker, over water, where it could be, again, a card wrecking situation.
Yeah, okay. So for me, what's this one?
I would think for you, because you said on the start of the video, stock shot was a fade, this one might be an amber for you.
Okay, yeah, fine.
Amber to red, depending on how we feel and the stage of the game. Now, if you were a higher handicapper, my rule of thumb is if we hit the green and the centre of the green every single time, we're not going to be far away.
No. Okay, fine. And I guess, how much are you thinking about where to miss? Because a shot like this, if you miss this particular shot short left, you're absolutely fine.
Exactly.
But if you miss it short right, you're in a bad position, aren't you? Are you thinking about that stuff? And if you are, how are you blocking out sort of bad thoughts from kind of causing you to make a bad swing?
I think you're never going to block bad thoughts, and potentially they will come in. But I always think you can't plan for a bad shot. You know the trouble's there. You use the colour code system almost as a way of weighing up the trouble, but not almost highlighting the trouble.
Okay, fine.
And then we plan to hit a good shot. Like, for example, here, we'll be planning to hit a nice fade into the flag. I wouldn't want you thinking, right, I can miss it short left, I can miss it short right.
Right, fine.
Because that's just going to give you bad underlying thoughts.
Okay, good. Well, I'm going to give this a go then, Alex.
Right, I want to see the stock shot.
Okay, fine. Yeah, well, you've asked for it, so I'll have to do it. Okay. Go. Oh no. Guess where it's gone, people? It's in that trap short right. I got a little bit greedy with it, didn't I?
I thought it was going to be all right for a second, but the wind just held it up there.
Ah. Okay, so the next one on our list relates to swing thoughts. Now, I guess most golfers have swing thoughts, things in their golf swing they're looking to achieve. Alex, question for you. How many is a good number of swing thoughts to have, do you think?
Before I give that answer, I want to know, how many do you have?
One.
One, okay, so
Yes.
I'd say you're generally probably not the norm.
Oh, really?
Most people that come for lessons have sometimes upwards of 5 swing thoughts.
Right, so like grip, posture, whatever.
Exactly.
Right,
so
fine.
my tip for that is, because we're always going to have, if we're new to the game of golf and it's our first competition, we're going to have something that we need a bit of a checklist.
Yes.
So I kind of like separate that into pre-swing, so grip, stance, all those aspects.
Okay, yeah.
So we can throw them away once we've done it.
Fine, so you do all of the groundwork that you know you need to do to
Exactly.
get yourself in a good position over the ball.
Exactly.
And then once you're there,
I tend to have, hopefully, no more than 1, potentially 2, 1 backswing and 1 trigger thought.
okay, so what is it for you then?
So I like to feel that the club goes wide on the way back.
Okay.
Because I get kind of a little bit narrow is my bad swing thought. On the way through, I'm an absolute bugger for keeping my head down.
Okay, right.
So it stops me rotate through. So I like to feel like, I call it anachoret. That's literally my only thought on the way through.
Okay, right, yeah.
So
Okay,
I try and work on like a role model that I can copy and almost create the same thing as what I visualize and see.
Okay, that's good. Well, I have 1, and my 1 is because I tend to get a bit snatchy from the top. I just like to just feel as if I'm just not pausing, but just there's a bit of time at the top of the backswing.
So like
just
if
don't rush the start of the downswing.
your role model would like maybe like Matsuyama to the top.
Yeah, exactly.
And then go.
Exactly. It doesn't always look like that. I'm sure anyone who's seen any of our videos in the past will know it doesn't always look like that. But for me, I know it's a swing thought that's worked well for me. And I guess, Alex, the point is that it's different for different people and different golf swings.
Exactly.
Isn't it?
But the one key thing is, between me and you, it's simple. It's not a specific position.
Yes.
It's a simple thought and a feeling to work to.
Okay. Good. Shall I have a hit?
Let's have a hit.
Right, I've got to really try and pause at the top now, Alex.
Yeah.
A little bit over fade, but it's okay. So as you can see, the next tip we've got for you is about alignment, and we've chosen alignment because it's something that everyone can get right. It makes a big difference if you do get it right, but equally, it's something that we all get wrong from time to time. Certainly, Alex, I'm somebody that can often stand quite close to the ball at address.
I'm the same.
Why is it important to get your alignment sort of rock solid?
I think the main aspect is the fact that a lot of people's bad shots and bad swings just stems from poor alignment, like you were saying about yourself there.
Okay.
So having a routine to stick to on the first tee is absolutely key to ensure you've got good alignment.
Yeah, so I mean, we're talking here about how to handle your first competition. And one of the big challenges of playing competition golf is that you can get a bit scrambled at times, and these are the sorts of things that can fall by the wayside. How do you make sure that doesn't happen?
I would visualize exactly what we've got down here. We've got 2 alignment sticks, one down the ball to target line, and then a parallel one for our feet line.
Okay, fine. So how are you building that stance then?
So straight away, I'd do this and I'd make this as part of every single shot, whether it be the first tee shot, whether it be the last shot into the 18th green.
Fine.
And even if it's your first round, I would make sure you build this into a good thing, which happens every single round.
Okay, good.
So behind the golf ball, establish your ball to target line, and that'll be where we want the ball to finish.
Yes.
So I don't then tend to make it like a thin line. I like to feel like an alignment channel. So that's going to be our outside alignment stick. I would then, once I've got a strong visual of the outside one and highlighted it, I would bring in a second one which feels like my feet line runs parallel to that. From that I can build my stance around it, my hips, my shoulders, and then ready to go.
Yeah, so 2 parallel lines, that's the key. Obviously you can't put shafts down like this in competition. Just remember to get those 2 parallel lines set, get yourself set properly over the ball. If you do, you are more than halfway to making a good swing. Okay, so the last one on the list relates to your scorecard, and actually we're talking here, Alex, about what you do after a round, because you might think that you've finished your round of golf, nothing can go wrong, but actually before you hand your card in, something can go wrong. What do people need to do? What do they need to look out for?
So first point of call, we've got to have the gross scores correct.
Okay, yeah.
So I know we talked about playing in a stable third, and we have a tally of the points that we get. Now, if they don't add up correctly, it doesn't matter, and if they're not the correct points, that doesn't matter. The main thing is, as long as your gross scores for each hole are correct.
Yes, so I would go through my card and I'd check what I'd put you down for, and, and against what you've got on your card, we just make sure that the scores on both cards tally up, right?
Exactly.
And then if they do,
2 things you've got to do then.
Okay.
Number 1, make sure you sign it, but the one I find a lot of people forget is the playing partner's got to sign it too.
Yeah, okay, so get that right, hand your card in, and you'll be good to go. So there you have it. That was our list of the 10 best tips to handle your first golf competition. Guys, what did you think? What did you think of Alex's tips? Is there anything that you've done playing under pressure, playing in competition that's really helped you out? We'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. But for now, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.